Buenas curiosidad científica, con ustedes aquí su host Agustín Valenzuela, hoy trayéndole el rover, que es otra maravilla. El capítulo de hoy es un show en vivo que grabé, que fui parte de la sociedad planetaria, Planetary Society. Hicieron ellos un live con NASA y todo eso, y el live es en inglés, pero si se quedan, van a escuchar las explicaciones de ellos, pero entre una y otra cosa me van a escuchar a mí diciendo, ok, falta esto, ok, va aquello, ok, va esto. Si les importa más ir al final, lo cual no deberían, porque hay mucha explicación bien buena entre medio, pero entonces le pueden dar para adelante a los últimos 15 minutos, y ahí yo aporto un poco más, y aporto más del tiempo que falta y qué es lo que está sucediendo, hasta que aterrizamos, y yo comienzo a llorar, literal. Pero este intro se los dejo, así que roll that thing. Como dice Marie Curie, en la vida no existe nada que temer, solo cosas que comprender. Recuerden correr y buscar la manera de aprender que más le divierta. Neil deGrasse Tyson dice: nadie que es curioso es tonto. Las personas que no hacen preguntas permanecen ignorantes del resto de su vida. Y para ustedes, esto es curiosidad científica.
To a degree. I was driving in it last night very late, and I was relying on it pretty heavily to keep me going straight, flying right.
Because would you let go of the wheel for 7 minutes? Really?
Not 7 minutes, and you couldn't, because the thing would shut off. It tells you have to touch the wheel.
Yeah. But these guys, sure, we're going to Mars. It'll be fine. Yeah, just let go.
Let go and let the thousands of lines of code that have been triple, quadruple, quintuple checked against all possible scenarios. Let that take the wheel.
Yeah, and I remember very well the cold, what might affect the software that was tested. Oh, here's Rob Manning. This guy, I've spent time with him. He is something else. Rob.
There's another radio that will continue transmitting a tone, so that like a flashlight, that will allow us to at least see that the vehicle is still on, and that color of that flashlight tells us a little bit what state the rover's in. But soon after that, it won't be very long before we'll be able to hear more ones and zeros coming from the spacecraft. So this is a really exciting time, and it's just important to remind people this is there's a lot that can go wrong in a day like today. There are thousands of things that have to go right.
Yeah, we had success in the past landing on Mars. You'd think it gets easier, but it really doesn't. Why is it still so difficult?
Well, because it's involved thousands and thousands of things, hundreds of thousands of lines of code. There's 79 pyrotechnic devices. Each have to work perfectly. One critical wire short, or one key thing mechanism that doesn't work or breaks, and it's mission over. And so it's and it's very easy. We're human beings. We're not perfect. Mistakes can be made. We count on each other to find our own mistakes, and we work very hard to learn from the mistakes of the past. We've had many failures. Remind people, roughly around half of the missions to Mars over history have failed. And so it's that could happen today too. Even though we've had a nice, wonderful string of successes in the United States, it's still still a bit of a gamble that we have hoped that we have erred in the side of luck, and we've stacked the deck and loaded the dice to make this thing succeed. But if we do fail, and something bad happens today, I can tell you, we're going to learn it. We'll have the data that tell us what happened. We'll know why. We'll figure it out. And if we are allowed, we will pick ourselves up and get us back on the horse. And if Congress and NASA allow, we will try again. As we always do, we will learn from our mistakes.
And what are the possible scenarios we could be looking at today?
Well, there's things like one of the key stressful elements for all of us is parachute inflation. But just even separating from the cruise stage is a pretty major event. Lots of devices have to work properly. Certainly, the heat shield separation, getting the descent engine started. There's no less than 16 rocket motors that have to work. 8 to control during entry, another 8 to control it during landing. I said it's a lot of stuff, and it all has to work. And guess what? We haven't done this before with this vehicle ever. This is its first attempt to actually land. We can't try this on Earth. We can't do. We don't have test pilots to try it out on this planet before the big show. So this vehicle is doing it for the first time. We've done the best testing we could do in bits and pieces, but you know, it's as best as we could do. But I think our team is up to it. This team is the best. It's a diverse, intelligent, amazing group of people. People from all over the world who worked on this, not just here in California, but all over NASA, contributors from aerospace, universities, countries around the world. It is just an incredible, remarkable engineering achievement, and I am just so proud of this team.
Thanks, Rob. Now, let's listen back into Mission Control.
Flight, we're about 14 minutes from entry interface. The vehicle is currently preparing the heat rejection system that has kept the thermal system cool inside the air shell for about the last 6 months. This will allow the spacecraft to more easily cut the line in upcoming cruise stage separation, which is under 4 minutes now.
Wow, 4 minutes, people. Woo.
Yeah, and that's when this
I was like that hair on the side of luck.
it comes off.
You guys, if you're out there watching, would you please be nervous? Understand what's going on. They're on another world, and you know, you can get into the science fiction thing. Well, it's already happened on Mars. Well, because of the speed of light. Does it not happen here until that information gets here? Like, whoa, dude. The whole thing is just gives you such, to me, it's just inspirational. That humans, that we could figure out how to do this is really amazing. It's worthy of respect.
I know, so it's just a robot. It kind of feels like it's me going to space. You know, it's with all of humanity. It's all of
yes. Testify. So we're less than 2 minutes?
I think we're about 2 minutes away from the cruise stage separation, yeah. So what'll happen is the cruise stage separates, and then there's about 10 minutes before the descent stage enters the atmosphere. So, but the cruise stage separation is a big deal because these have been wedded together ever since they launched here on Earth, and we've got to have a successful separation to continue forward with the landing sequence.
It's all built into the software. We've tested it over and over and over again. This team has spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week testing this thing for years, and so this is really the culmination of all that work. So this vehicle is getting ready to push that cruise stage away. Once it gets pushed away, the entry system with the rover inside, with the rover still in charge, is going to get ready to take the vehicle, turn it to the right orientation, and aim it to Mars, and prepare for entering the atmosphere. This won't be long. Be prepared for this event.
We're about 1.5 minutes from cruise stage separation, about 11 minutes, 20 seconds from entry interface.
Okay, so it's about 10 minutes from cruise stage separation till entering the top of the atmosphere. From then on and out, things happen fast.
We're switching to MFSK tones. Telemetry will have stopped.
Telecom is confirming that the spacecraft has switched to broadcasting tones. These tones are received directly from Perseverance, but have very limited information content. We won't receive real-time information until about 9-10 minutes from now, once the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter starts relaying information from Perseverance. We are under a minute from cruise stage separation, about 10.5 minutes from entry interface.
It's getting exciting. I have to admit, I am quite anxious, but very hopeful that this machine is going to do what we asked it to do.
You're seeing the heartbeat tones.
Okay, that means that there's no more ones and zeros coming. It's just the vehicle telling us it's still alive.
So, depends who you are. It's, you know, Rob Manning's worked on this 20-some years, 30 years. And here's this moment.
For cruise stage separation.
That's
We
what
have
we believe
indication that
just
cruise
happened.
stage separation has been confirmed by the spacecraft.
We're off on a good start.
Congrats,
In
Bethany.
about 1 minute, Perseverance's landing software will wake up and begin the final preparations for entry. The first action it will do is to fire warm-up pulses with its entry thrusters. These pulses ensure that the spacecraft gets the thrust that it wants during entry interface. We're about 9 minutes from entry interface.
Okay, cruise stage away. Warming up those engines that are going to have to turn on after having been off for what 7-8 months since launch. So warming them back up again to get them ready to go.
After,
We've got
when you're in deep space, it's 3 Kelvin. It's almost absolute zero in deep space for 7 months. 7 months, I mean. Wow. And everybody, if you're watching this, we have closed caption in Spanish, Hindi, Arabic, Mandarin. We are gauging people around the world. It's very cool. This is a human endeavor, bringing out, I say all the time, bringing out the best in all of us.
The data stream indicating the cruise stage separation. We have confirmation that the vehicle has started warming up those entry thrusters. Warm-up pulses have begun. At this point, the spacecraft is trying to stop its spin from the cruise 2 revolutions per minute down to 0, and then will turn to its desired orientation from entry. It will separate the 2 balance masses that has kept it balanced during all of cruise. This will allow the entry capsule to have lift when it enters the atmosphere. We have confirmation that the spacecraft has turned to the desired entry attitude. We're about 7.5 minutes from entry interface.
So, Bethany, right now we're going about 5 kilometers a second. We're going 10,000 miles an hour, something like that.
Yeah, you're doing a 5K. It's doing a 5K every second.
Every second. And so it has that shape. Space capsules have that shape for the air, the aerodynamics, even on Mars, or maybe most especially on Mars, the aerodynamics.
Orientation and attitude via rockets on the back of that back shell.
Points carrier lock. The DTE from Radio Science from Green Bank reports carrier lock. They see the carrier on the downlink.
All right, that means the Green Bank telescope is listening successfully, locked on to the spacecraft.
We are continuing to wait for entry interface. We're about 6 minutes and 45 seconds from entry interface. We have confirmation from Greenback that they are receiving direct to Earth telemetry via that path. The spacecraft Perseverance is currently transmitting heartbeat tones. These tones indicate that Perseverance is operating normally and has nothing significant to report. This is as
Nothing significant to report. We're just going into Mars at 10,000 miles an hour, but you know, it's routine. Nothing significant.
While we're in a quiet period, just a little preview. Once it hits the 6-minute countdown, that's when atmospheric entry happens. And then a whole bunch of steps happen real quick for about 7 minutes in terms of capsule going into guided entry, parachute up, heat shield off, rockets firing, parachute cut, descent, sky crane. It all happens super quick as soon as it hits the top of the atmosphere in this 6 minutes. And we'll just listen to them, I think, during that last bit.
interface. We're still receiving heartbeat tones. We expect to continue receiving heartbeat tones until about 5 minutes after entry. At that time, Perseverance will be no longer in view of our antennas here on Earth. About 90 seconds prior to entry, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter should begin receiving telemetry from Perseverance and streaming it to Earth in near real time. There are a few expected short outages, such as when we have a plasma blackout or when we enter the peak heating phase. Aside from these outages caused by the plasma blackout, antenna switching, or high dynamic events, spacecraft events, we should have telemetry until about 90 seconds after landing. A plasma blackout is when the signal from Perseverance isn't strong enough to make it through the superheated, super fast air flowing around the spacecraft all the way down to Earth. Once the temperature drops below that peak heating, we do reacquire the signal from Perseverance. We are currently about 4.5 minutes from entry interface. Perseverance continues to report heartbeat tones, indicating everything is nominal.
Okay, what we're looking for now is Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter should be in view soon of our vehicle and be able to listen to ones and zeros coming from a separate radio that's really designed to talk between spacecraft.
MRO reports the electro radio is powered on, ready to receive signals from the lander.
Okay, MRO is ready and able and waiting for to hear from our rover.
Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has reported that it's ready to receive the signals from Perseverance. It should be in a few minutes here. We're just
flight local 1
from entry interface.
Can you hear the way she breathes through her mask? Like she's put, whatever, at least 10 years into this thing. Here we go.
Health and well-being today to keep our nerves in control. But
around this time, a second spacecraft, Maven, should begin picking up telemetry from Perseverance and will continue to record that telemetry until several minutes post-landing. We won't get that data for several hours after landing as it's being recorded and then will be forwarded to Earth later. We are continuing to receive heartbeat tones, indicating that everything is nominal. We're currently at about 3 minutes until entry interface.
Okay. Very soon we'll be getting ones and zeros, I hope, from our radio on the rover. The entry interface is nothing more than just an arbitrary place in the sky that we've defined to be above the atmosphere. But from that point on, there's definitely atmosphere, and above it there isn't.
We are 2 minutes from entry interface. Perseverance is to transmit heartbeat tones, indicating everything is nominal.
It's like the Kármán limit in the Earth's atmosphere. Like it is, we'll just pick a spot. Okay, this is it. This is the atmosphere.
Doing well.
Yeah, and on Mars it's about 100 kilometers above the surface. So that's, kind of 12 Mount Everests stacked on top of each other is where we define that atmospheric entry point.
That's where you start experiencing drag, right? You start having to compensate, steer with the air, Martian air.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes it so difficult to land on Mars. So Mars's atmosphere is thin enough to cause problems in terms of friction and heating, but it's too thin to be useful in terms of slowing the vehicle down appreciably. So that's what makes Mars so hard. It's a lot easier actually to land on the moon or an airless body than this super thin atmosphere. It's easier to land on Earth too with our thick atmosphere because you can use it to slow yourself down, but Mars is hard because it's this in between.
Yeah, landing on the moon's easy. Am I right, people? Yeah.
Easier.
Okay, that to me is it. That it should be right now. Maybe 2 seconds from now. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, after atmospheric entry, I think the next think the next main event is a little bit after 12:49, 12:50, where we'll hit something called peak deceleration.
We're about 30 seconds from entry interface. Perseverance is going about 5.2 kilometers per second and is about 190 kilometers altitude above the surface of Mars.
Confirm your
It's like max Q on Earth, right? Maximum dynamic pressure when a rocket's sick. You got it. That's what you got to design for. God, I hope you guys thought of that.
From entry interface. 5.3 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 150 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Can you imagine?
Feel an atmosphere.
When you look at the Earth from space, that's about what you're seeing, you know. Wow.
We have confirmation of entry interface. Perseverance is currently going 5.3 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 120 kilometers from the surface of Mars. The
right about now,
is now waiting until it begins feeling the atmosphere of Mars slow it down. Once there is enough atmosphere, it will start controlling its path to the landing target. Navigation is also confirming that we can see a little bit of that slowdown of the atmosphere on the Perseverance entry capsule. Our current velocity is about 5.36 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 67 kilometers from the surface.
We are probably seeing MRO plasma blackout at this point.
The vehicle should be doing its turns right now.
MRO has lost lock.
Perseverance. We have indications that Perseverance is now performing bank reversals in the atmosphere. These are the steps in order to control its distance to the landing target. Perseverance has just passed through the point of maximum deceleration and has indicated that it felt approximately 10 Earth Gs of deceleration.
MRO has lock again.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
10 Gs will make your eyes water, people.
10 Gs will make you faint.
Yeah.
From Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter during that peak heating phase, likely caused by the plasma blackout. Perseverance is still continuing to perform bank reversals in the atmosphere to control its distance to the landing target.
That means it's basically changing the angle at which it's going through. It's kind of tilting up a little to catch more atmosphere and adjusting accordingly. In about a minute, the parachute's going to come out, which is going to be...
Perseverance is going about 1 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 16 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have entered heading alignment, which means Perseverance is no longer trying to control the distance to Mars, but to the target on Mars, but instead is flying straight to the target.
Humans at their best, people. This is cool.
Un momento, la nave va bajando por la atmósfera, pero se vira para utilizar la atmósfera para detenerse. Un momento ya Everest está dirigiendo hacia el
Our current velocity is about 550 meters per second at an altitude of about 15 kilometers from the surface.
5 soccer fields a second.
MRO's reporting good telemetry log.
We are coming upon the straighten up. We are starting the straighten up and fly right maneuver, where the spacecraft will jettison the entry balance masses in preparation for parachute deploy and to roll over to give the radar a better look at the ground.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 440 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Right where it's supposed to be.
Yes. Perseverance is now slowed to subsonic speeds, and the heat shield has been separated. This allows both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Current velocity is 145 meters per second at an altitude of about 9.5 kilometers above the surface.
So just one soccer field a second now. Football field.
Now the radar's ranging, looking for the ground.
It's down there.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Perseverance now has radar lock on the ground. Current velocity is about 100 meters per second, 6.6 kilometers of the surface of Mars. Perseverance is continuing to descend on the parachute. We are coming up on the initialization of terrain relative navigation and subsequently the priming of the landing engines. Our current velocity is about 90 meters per second at an altitude of 4.2 kilometers.
God, listen to her breathing.
We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation. We have timing of the landing engine.
Description of they got a plan.
Taking photos, it's doing photo matching, trying to find where it is and pick the safest spot.
About 2.6 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation that the back shell has separated. We are currently performing the divert maneuver. Current velocity is about 75 meters per second at an altitude of about a kilometer off the surface of Mars.
TRN Safety Bravo.
We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars.
Ahora viene el acercamiento a unas yardas de la superficie a tratar de localizar el punto a aterrizar, pero ya está en ese punto.
Which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver.
We've lost direct to Earth tones.
That's expected.
As expected.
Sky crane maneuver has started. About 20 meters off the surface.
20 meters. It's right there. Oh, my God.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Ahí mismito.
Signal from reconnaissance orbiter.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars. Ready to begin seeking the sound of past life. At this point, the descent stage has flown away to safe distance. Perseverance is continuing to transmit direct through Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to Earth.
Wow, you guys, that was something else. I mean, we act like, of course, it was going to happen, but they really pulled it off. So let's see if we get these images. That's what's crazy making, man. It's just
should be a couple few minutes.
When I go through that, the thing that I just keep thinking about is like the sophisticated orchestration of how that is possible, how that like requires the greatest of our intellect to, you know, make that happen, not to mention a ton of money and a ton of time. You know, I just feel like it's levels above most of the human achievements we normally see, which are always impressive. But this for me is like, you know, the pinnacle.
It really is. It's so difficult. And, you know, it's not just technically, it's not only technically difficult, but it's an organization, it's a management, it's how are we going to approach the problem? How are we going to coordinate all these world's foremost authorities to work together to achieve these things? And I know, Bethany, you were involved in these meetings, like, where are we going to land? Like that right there is just not a trivial choice, right? Where are we, by the way? Let's see. Here's a globe of Mars.
Go to the west side of the Isidis Basin, and just a little above the equator.
I found it the other day. You directed me there the other day. Okay, here's Planitia, Chrysa Planitia.
What about Utopia Planitia? Do you want me to grab my big globe, Bill? It's behind my shoulder.
Well, if you got time, yeah. While everybody's freaking out, that are very happy.
That is alive on the surface of Mars. Congratulations to the mission. And looks like we have some more news in. It looks like we're getting the first image. Here,
oh my God! Really?
I'm stretching it for all of you.
Flight, this is OL3. I have the target point on the map when you are ready. We are ready, OL3. Go for it.
Claro, estamos listos.
Wow.
Where are we? Where are we?
All right. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Flight, I'll be moving in, showing you the safe zone that we've landed in.
Just put the first image from Perseverance on the surface of Mars. Now, it comes from the engineering cameras known as the hazard camera. This camera is mainly used to help the rover drive safely around Mars, and we will get higher resolution photos later in the day.
Later in the day, like right now.
It's just, you want it all right now.
So this is something that always wigs me out about these images from Mars. It's a place. You know, if you were somehow dressed properly, the right spacesuit, Andy the squirrel helmet, you could walk around, you know, have a picnic carefully. But it's a place with rocks and sand and history and geologic information locked in the rocks, and it's really amazing, you all. It's amazing. I am honored to be a human today.
Bueno, pero ya hasta aquí. Yo voy a dejar esta grabación, pero yo voy a seguir viendo. Gracias a todos los que me acompañaron. Gracias, de verdad.
We didn't get a good video feed. They're trying to show where we are, and it looks like
the
question is.
Y para ustedes, esto es curiosidad científica.